Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
In 2005, two brothers hit the road to fight monsters. That road has led them to fighting demons, angels, and saving the world.
It's a journey that is taking them to heaven, hell, and back. But they aren't done.
Join our journey as we go episode by episode, following the adventures of Sam and Dean Winchester. We break each episode down with the writers, producers, directors, crew, and actors to bring you the behind-the-scenes stories of how this legendary TV series was made. That guy right there, that's Rob Benedict. He played God and Chuck Shirley.
Hey, and that guy there, that's Richard Spade Jr. He played Gabriel, Loki, and the Trickster. And P.S., he directed a bunch of episodes, too.
Now, while we are insiders, we're also outsiders, because we're not experts. This is our first time watching the entire series, all 327 episodes.
Rich and I have met many of the fans at conventions around the world, and we are deepening our understanding of why you all love this series so much. Because it's really good.
Yeah, it is. Now, listen. There will be spoilers, so consider yourself warned.
And thank you for joining us on this trip we call Supernatural Then and Now. Hi, everybody. This is Rob Benedict.
And this is Richard Spate.
And I wish I could help you, but I've got an appointment in Samarra.
That's all the time we have. Rob's got to go. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you for the next episode of Supernatural Then and Now. We're kidding.
Good night, everybody. I know we're talking about Season 6, Episode 11, Appointment in Samarra.
With Rob Benedict as Samarra. That's like one of those porn names. Riding into Town, starring Into Town.
Remember, if Patreon is too
racy for you,
internet-y for you, which is a word, you can subscribe and support the podcast at the angel level on Apple Podcasts for just $3.99 to get early access, ad-free episodes, and bonus content.
For $3.99?
Yeah.
That's practically free. That's only $3.99 away from being zero.
And it's 1 cent away from being $4.
Yeah, but you're under $4. You're not being suckered into a $4 buy.
That's right.
No way.
It's just 1 click away in Apple Podcasts.
Go do it. Now, Robert, why don't you summarize this episode for the good people listening, shall you?
All right. Dean pays a visit to Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert.
An unlicensed doctor.
By the way, I thought it was clever that they went ahead just named Robert England Dr. Robert.
Yeah, and has he been on it before?
No, I don't think so.
And that was just a cameo. Is he ever on it again?
Dr. Robert, I don't know.
Crazy. Yeah, but Robert Englund, of course.
It's Robert England, but with a U. So it's not England, it's England.
England. Anyway, for those who don't know, and that's probably nobody, but he, of course, is Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger.
And when he grabbed Dean's face, I was like, I wonder if Jensen was like, that's spooky.
I wonder if Jensen wore his Freddy Krueger sweater to set just for a larf.
Yeah. So Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert.
is an unlicensed doctor. And he goes to Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert.
To flatline himself.
You ever see the movie Flatliners? A young Oliver Platt.
I was just going to say, like the old 80s movie Flatliners. Loved that movie. I was into that movie when I was a teenager.
Kiefer Sutherland. Was Julia Roberts in Flatliners?
Maybe. There was a girl.
I just remember Oliver Platt was in it, and I remember going, wow, that guy looks like Tim Amundsen. Because back in the day, he looked like Tim Amundsen. Yeah.
Huh. I remember thinking he was really good.
He is.
And different than the rest of the Brat Packers.
He was the unknown guy. It's like famous guy, famous guy, famous guy. And who the hell is that guy? Oh, it's Oliver Platt.
This guy. Right. Still kicking it.
Oh, man, still doing great work.
In the Bear. Dr. Robert is impressed with his personal success rate of 75%.
Dr. Robert.
Dean has prepared a letter for Ben and asked Dr. Robert to mail it if he doesn't come back.
Yeah.
Dr. Robert injects Dean. He tells Dean he has 3 minutes. Then they're going to revive him. Dean dies, and he summons the Reaper Tessa, who we've seen in various points throughout the series.
Yeah, you sure have, Robert.
He tells her he wants a meeting with Death. She refuses. However, Death arrives, and Death wants to make a deal with him.
Did you think it was funny, like when Julian arrived, the blocking of the scene was trippy because Dean is standing there, talking to Tessa, and I'm like, I need to talk to your boss. And all of a sudden, he's like, that's okay, Tessa. And he turned around, and Dean has to look down, and I guess Julian's sitting, but you don't really see the chair in the shot, and you're like, is Julian on his knees? Like, it was a weird perspective where, because Julian's a tall guy.
Yeah.
And suddenly Dean is looking down and there's Death, but like, why is Death down there? I don't know. It certainly is funny.
Maybe it's because we had to watch these episodes out of order, and the last episode we watched was the one about the leprechauns, and so you were thinking everyone was going to be little.
Threw me off, yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I love Julian.
Hey, Julian's so good.
Every time he's on screen, he's just fascinating.
Every time.
So Dean wants Death to get Sam's soul out of hell.
Right.
In exchange, he'll give Death back his ring.
Right.
Death tells Dean he knows where the ring is, but he'll get Sam's soul if Dean wears Death's ring for a day and does the job.
Right.
But he can't take it off. Can't take off the ring. Got to do it for a full day. So he'll also put a wall up in Sam's mind, blocking him from the torturous memories from hell that would likely drive Sam insane.
Well, that's cool. I mean, that sounds like a nice deal.
So basically, he's gonna give Sam like a brain condom.
Yeah, or kind of the way you've blocked off all your emotions, usually with booze and drugs.
That's right. But instead of booze and drugs, it'll be
a wall,
a death-inspired wall inside his head.
Yeah.
So Dr. Robert successfully revives Dean, who was out.
Who does?
Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert
Successfully revives Dean, who was out for 7 minutes.
That's longer than 3. He said 3 minutes. He was out for 7. That's more than 3.
No one's ever done it in 7 minutes before. Dean heads to Bobby's and tells Sam and Bobby about his wager with Death. Sam isn't sure he even wants his soul back if there's no guarantee the wall will protect him from painful memories of hell.
Also, you, Rob Benedict, like soulless Sam better, so I'm sure you were like, yeah, don't give him his soul back.
Soulless Sam? I don't know. There's just something about him. I think he's kind of a badass. He just doesn't give a shit, man. Dean tells Sam to trust him and puts on the ring. For the next 24 hours, he needs to touch and thereby kill everyone on Tessa's list so she can reap them.
I'm surprised that you and some of the band members weren't on that list. You know what I mean?
That we were going to die? Oh, that's dark.
I just thought Tessa was sick of your crap,
Okay. When Dean leaves with Tessa, Sam sneaks out and arranges a meeting with Balthazar.
Sebastian Roche. America's answer for the Frenchman.
We love Sebastian, and I love that he is also in this episode. Remind me, though, why is Balthazar mad at Sam?
He had a prisoner. He was holding somebody prisoner. He was collecting souls. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
He was doing something with souls, and he had Michael or somebody wrapped up in some chain who was going to hold him, but they're like, no, you got to get rid of him or else.
Okay.
Something like that.
Because he wants to kill him. He's so mad at him. And then he also said, well, I don't like your brother either. Why doesn't he like Dean?
For obvious reasons.
I guess so.
Attitude, table manners,
Maybe because he can be dead for 7 minutes and no one else can do that.
The usual. Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, he asked Balthazar for a way to keep his soul out of his body. Balthazar recognizes an opportunity to screw over Dean and have Sam in his debt. He tells Sam he needs to commit patricide, and it doesn't have to be a father by blood, meaning he can kill Bobby to complete the ritual.
That seems harsh.
So badass, crazy-ass Sam's going to go kill Bobby, his pseudo-father who helped raise him.
But why? That seems pointless.
It seems extreme, but he really wants to keep his soul out of his body. Meanwhile, the first few people Dean must kill are relatively easy. An overweight guy with a heart condition, an armed robber.
Why? He didn't say overweight here. Why are you judging his size?
It does say overweight. But when he gets to a terminally ill 12-year-old girl, he just can't do it.
No.
This sets off a chain reaction, which results in the girl's nurse dying in a car accident. Her distraught husband gets drunk and drives. He almost crashes into a busload of people, but in a desperate attempt to avert the accident, Dean takes off Death's ring and grabs the steering wheel of the car. Dean saved everyone's life, but by taking off the ring, he has lost his wager with Death.
Yeah, man.
He didn't save everyone's life. That woman is still dead.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't a perfect storm here, no.
And they had to go back and kill the 12-year-old girl, so she's dead too.
Yeah.
Nobody wins. And the guy who got drunk and drove, he's alive, but he's still without the love of his life. Very sad.
Yeah, it's not uplifting, the whole thing.
Meanwhile, at Bobby's house, Sam has been trying to capture Bobby to sacrifice him.
Come here, you little rascal.
Bobby had a lot of great Richard Spadisms in this episode. he's like, "You're not gonna die. I was born at night, but not last night."
Don't say, "Here's Johnny."
Yeah, exactly. Don't say, "Here's Johnny. I'm not gonna die in my own house." I realized in this episode that you are Bobby. You were Bobby, and like in 15 years, you're gonna turn into Bobby.
15 years ago, I turned into Bobby. You mean?
Dean gets back to Bobby's in the nick of time to save Bobby.
Could you say Bobby more? You're like, Bobby's there, but Dean said Bobby. Bobby. Every Bobby.
The other thing I realized in this episode really is up until now, like Sam is the big bad of the season.
Yeah.
Like Sam's the bad guy. You know, when he's about to stab Bobby, and then a hand comes from nowhere and it's Dean's. He grabs and he's like, "Hi, Sam," and it's in the same way that Dean might say that to like the devil or
somebody whose name isn't Sam. Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm serious. Like Sam is the bad guy, really, you know?
Yeah, soulless Sam, I find to be cold and like harsh, but I know he tickles your fancy, but you've always liked it rough. To me, it's a little much.
Yeah, to me, it's sexy. They lock Sam in the panic room, but Dean is distraught. He can't keep his brother in there forever.
No. Eventually, Sam's going to have to poop.
Yeah, and he's got 10 more episodes. It's 10 more seasons to do. Death arrives to collect his ring. He tells Dean he is pleased that Dean learned a lesson about disturbing the natural order of things, and he decides to retrieve Sam's soul anyway and still put a brain wall to block the bad memories. So this episode ends with Sam tied down, screaming in pain as his soul is returned.
Oh.
So I had a question.
Yeah.
Exactly what that operation was. Was that him putting in the brain wall? Or was that putting his soul back in?
I think it's putting the soul back.
So it didn't take him long to get into that cage and get that soul? Death just can do that?
Yeah. Death has access to everything.
So he was like, all right, I'll do it. And like a second later, he's like, let's go.
It's like you buying mushrooms. Like a boop, 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 quick text, and they're at your front door.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Now it's makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, kids. Well, it's time for...
Rob and Rich ratings.
Well,
You start.
I liked it. I think there were parts of it for me that went a little far. What I loved about it was Julian Richings.
Yeah.
I thought really good, strong scene with Sebastian.
Yeah. Pretty all-star group, you know, when you get Sebastian and Julian.
Seeing Bobby's like little contraptions that he has in his house, I totally believe. You know, you're not gonna kill Bobby in Bobby's house. Like he's still a hunter.
Well, he was born at night, but not last night, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, every time the plot moves forward, I'm kind of happy. Like, okay, we're finally gonna get the soul and stop talking about it. He's gonna get the soul, and we're gonna see what Sam's like with the soul back in, and I thought the death stuff was interesting, you know, and the dilemma. I thought getting into the car with the drunk driver was a bit much, bit heavy-handed.
What do you mean? Why?
I don't know. It just was like, it felt too telegraphed, just that he was like in the room with the girl. He kind of happened to look out the window and the boyfriend has already been in a bar, coming out of the bar and getting into a car. It just felt like too choreographed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So would you say that there was because obviously there's a lot of heavy stuff here, you know? Did you feel like it veered into the melodramatic?
I guess at times.
You know, the convenience you're talking about, right? The convenience of looking out the window. Is that
part of it felt a little bit TV to me, because there are times when this show feels like
a movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That felt very CW to me.
Right. Which is funny because our standards are way higher for this show than it would be for another show.
But in general, I really liked the last episode 610, right? We liked that one. I liked that one. I think that was the one I really liked. And then this one sort of following in that footsteps of really moving the story of that we're, you know, I like less when we kind of go off topic and it doesn't move the story forward. You know what I mean?
What happened in 610? Is that the one where Mark Shepard is, there's two Mark Shepards and he cuts his own head off and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked it a little better than you, but I liked it.
Right. Exactly. I like this one. Look, I like the Balthazar and I like the Julian Richings part. And I think Lindsey's always really good as Tessa. And you got a lot of moving parts there. I think the idea of, Robert Englund was great. Great cameo at the top. And
good.
And the person who played his assistant was awesome. I just think it was, that sequence was cool when Dean was getting killed. I liked it. I thought it was unique, and the idea of being death for a day, sort of the opposite of Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, and that the only way he can really see those people is if he's dead or in a different realm.
Yeah, that was trippy.
It was like you could just like summon him like he summons Castiel. He had to actually die to go talk to them.
I know, and you know, I'm going to say this, and I know you're probably going to not agree with me or poo-poo, which I'll take this. I'll take this hit. I enjoyed the episode.
Who?
But I just don't buy the emotional connection of Dean with his family, the wife and kid. So when he's like, give this letter to Ben.
What was that?
Like, isn't that what that was for? His Ben is his kid, right? Or his,
oh, yeah.
so it just felt like, I don't know. Like,
Right.
you know, like, be sure this letter gets to Ben. And I had to go, who?
I thought he was talking about,
Oh, right. The kid.
about Ben Edlund.
Be sure the kid's Ben Edlund. I love his work.
Yeah.
So I just felt like that was reaching for something that you know, reaching for a limb that's not on the tree, so to speak.
Yeah.
Overall, I liked it.
Yeah.
So I'll start because I feel pretty comfortable saying this. It's not a Stapleton for me, so I'm going to say that right now. But it is a Kenny Rogers. It's a solid, groomed beard. Looks nice. Works all the way around as a beard. It's just not a Stapleton.
Yeah. Okay. I like that Kenny Rogers is sort of our go-to when it's not our other guys.
It's also in country music. Like it tracks.
It really tracks.
I know we need a pop star version of that to go with the Kenny Loggins.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go with Jason Momoa
Oh, okay.
because it's
Kind of a mess,
handsome.
but also good looking.
It's handsome. It's good looking. It also could use a little bit of a trim. And I'm really just talking about the drunken driver scene.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, look, Momoa, you know, nothing wrong with the Momoa.
Nothing wrong with Momoa, man. Momoa's, if I had a nickel.
You think Momoa likes mimosas?
Yeah. I'm sure he does. He likes Momoa mimosas.
Do you think he likes samosas?
Yeah.
Do you think he'd prefer them in Samoa?
Well, yeah. I think that's.
So I guess we get Momoa some samosas and mimosas in Samoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And if he's from the deep south and he wants more, does he order Samoa?
No, he orders sweet tea.
That's smart. It goes well with that.
All right. Well, we're very lucky today to have with us an actress, Lindey McKeon. She appeared as the Reaper, Tess, in 4 episodes of Supernatural. Appointment in Samarra is the 3rd appearance of the character.
Absolutely. And just a super great and fun lady as well. We've met her at conventions, and she's a real kick in the pants.
She's an accomplished TV actor. Her breakout role was one of the leads in Saved by the Bell, The New Class.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah. She went on to a role in Guiding Light, where she was nominated for 2 Daytime Emmys. She's been featured in numerous TV shows and films, including House, Opposite Sex, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Lifetime's Psycho Party Planner.
Here she is, Lindey McKeon. Let's dive in, shall we?
Sure thing.
Well, tell us your Supernatural story. How did you get involved with the show? Do you remember? Was it an audition? Was it an offer?
Definitely an audition. I can't remember the audition. That was so long ago, honestly.
Yeah, because your first season was season...
2?
Yeah, you were in there early.
Yeah, I was such a baby back then at the hospital. I remember that with the short dark hair. Yeah, I did that. And then I want to say the next few were offers. And I don't remember the next time I came in. Was it like season 5 or?
Yeah, that would make sense because this is 6, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
We know this is your 3rd appearance on the show. That much we know.
Yeah.
So do you recall, because I always find it interesting to hear the sort of the process of it all. Had you heard of the show before you started doing it? Let's start there.
I think I had heard of it, but I want to say back then it wasn't as big as it became.
Right.
So it was like a whisper of knowing about the show, maybe.
Right.
And it was only later, I think maybe it was after 5 or 6, right after this one, wasn't it? They were going to cancel it. And I was on set hearing about that.
Yeah, I feel like that was seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I think it didn't really get sea legs to like 8.
Yeah.
I mean, where they just finally gave up and just kept bringing it back.
So yeah, I knew about it a little. I knew Jensen when I worked on the NBC lot on Saved by the Bell, The New Class. He was on that lot in Burbank as well, working on the soap opera at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I knew him years back and then, kind of got to reconnect working together. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool.
How was that experience? I know that's off topic here because we're talking Supernatural, but how was working on the Saved by the Bell New Class? Because that had a lot of hype around it at the time.
Yeah, Saturday morning TV back in the day.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was wild. I mean, to be 13, 14 on a show with young kids kind of and just be like working and hanging out and adulting was super cool. There was, of course, a lot mixed in, which there always kind of is within the industry, which is one of the things I liked about Supernatural. I don't know if it was always this way or just when I came in or if it was because all you guys were doing it, that it felt like less drama surrounding it. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how it felt for me. And I always appreciated that coming onto set.
I agree. They also, Supernatural had a cast of 2. you know, really. But so it sort of narrows down the
egos involved.
number of people who can emote.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you knew Jensen. So when you come back and show up to set for season 2, was it like, oh, hey, well, old home week?
Yeah.
That's cool. You have such a good first episode, too. I feel like a lot of people that they bring back have a strong entrance. And I feel like that. I remember when we reviewed that episode, like that is such a really good episode. I love this, you know, you don't really know at first what you are, you know what I mean? Or what's going on. So when you got the call to come back in season 5 or whenever your second episode was like, oh, wow, yeah. Was it a shock, you know, that you were going to actually be able to come back and do more?
You know, I can't remember if it was a shock. I don't think it was a shock. It's always lovely when people call you.
And remember.
Just to hire you. And they're like, we're writing you in. And it's like, this is wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. Auditioning sucks. Thanks for thinking of me. Could you please do more of that? So I think it's more of just, it makes everything easier when they just give you dates and say, are you available? Would you like to do this? So yeah. Also, when I did it the first, like through my career, I feel like I evolved as a person so much. So when I came in, I feel like I was just still such a young person. And the more like seasons I came back on the show, I had become seasoned as a human and also on a spiritual journey. So that's what I loved about watching Tessa. I always tell fans, it's one of my favorite characters. One, because I get to see the transition I made as a human with my spiritual work. And I got to bring that to Tessa, the character, being this like in-between doorway with Dean and Death.
Right.
So that arc for me as a human is so fun.
Yeah.
For me to get to see.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. This show does that because you had, you know, we all had like 15 seasons to evolve.
And you found it to be a pleasant place to work. So getting that phone call wasn't just, oh, cool, I got a job, but you're like, I'm going back to like a space where I felt supported and I can do the work I want to do and all that.
Totally. And it was Vancouver, and I always loved Vancouver at that time.
Yeah.
And it was so easy to travel there and work there and get to be just kind of alone in the city. And, you know, when I had my off days or times, I got to just go for walks and go shopping and eat crepes or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, guys, hold on. We're coming right back.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.
You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. And now back to the episode.
And in this instance, in this episode, you're working with Julian Richings, who, would have been your quote unquote boss in the first episode, but we never saw the character.
Right.
And now you're actually sort of seeing the hierarchy of the whole thing. How was that experience? Had you met him before? Had you worked with him before?
No, I never met him. I don't know much about him. I know he's from Canada, right? And he was really big in
Toronto
the theater
based
world. I don't know much about him still. I didn't know much about him.
He's just such plays such an intense character, and it's so interesting to sort of see in this episode the connective tissue that brings the Reapers into the world of the guy who sends them out to reap,
Completely, yes.
I've gotten to know him a lot on the convention circuit, and he is so sweet. He's such a sweetheart. Really nice guy.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, you never know because he plays a lot of like creepos because he's got that character face,
Yeah,
I know,
he's very like stoic and...
Yeah, but he's delightful, like playfully sweet.
Aww.
Right, Rich?
Surprisingly lighthearted guy for a guy who plays such heavy hitters all the time.
So how would you describe the ongoing dynamic between Dean and Tessa? Like, was there any subtext? Like, they shared a kiss in season 4, I guess that was.
I mean, there's kind of a will they, won't they vibe a little bit. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think so. I think I always was like, can't we play that a bit more and have Tessa like go off the rails or be in a different dimension or whatever? I always felt that. I felt she had just an affinity for Dean. I think, maybe doing her job, there's a handful of people that she comes across that ever kind of actually affect her in that way. And so even though she always has a job to do and she's here for business, I think she feels his heart and his soul and is connected to that in some capacity.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's something about Tessa. It's almost like she's like a Charles Dickens ghost, especially in this episode when you sort of like, she could just sort of appear. There's a dynamic between them for sure.
Yeah, but every time Tessa shows up, I always feel like, not that you're the bearer of bad news, but it ain't great. You don't
want to ask you to take a walk.
Yeah, you're like, it's also that like, wait, why can I see you? And that's one of the things I liked about this episode. When you first arrive, it's like, what, Dean? Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, what? Yeah. Why are you here? Why am I seeing you? Because the other realmness of it all is really cool.
Yeah. And like she can see him all the time, but he can't always see her.
Yeah.
It's an interesting balance you have to play with that character because as a viewer, you watch it and you go, it's a complex character. It's not just your rank and file killer or Black Widow, so to speak. It's somebody who's tasked with doing this thing. And you're a worker bee.
Yeah.
But you also, I feel like there's an emotional component to it.
Yeah. 100%.
Is that fair? I mean, I feel like, and that's a lot of it, what you bring to it, which is great.
100%. Thanks for reading that right. Well done.
Of course. Well, you do a great job with it. I mean, it could be in the wrong hands, a very monotone one-note trumpet. But you do a lovely job. And I think that's why the elements with Dean play too, of finding that balance of, if for lack of a better description, bringing a humanity to a Reaper?
Yeah.
How much was that on the page and how much that is you?
I think there was a decent amount on the page, but I think a lot of that is me and how I evolved and how I looked at it. And being somebody who connects with the other side of spiritual realms and not just this, 3D physical world. And also having dealt with death and hardships in life myself and being like, there's an order to things, but there's still a sensitivity to it. And there's still a level of care and understanding and sympathy you can give to people while also getting shit done.
Right. Because there's no sense that at any point you love this job. I mean that in a good way. Because Dean has to put this on and now has to take on the mantle of getting his hands dirty.
Yeah, it's not glorified, glorious work. It's not,
No.
I would be a serial killer if I was taking joy out of it, you know?
Even in so much as how Julian brings that same sort of sense of duty to the character that he plays, I think I get that sense with Tessa that she is, pardon the pun here, dead serious, but also empathetic that what she's doing is disrupting a sense of things.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think? Like at the beginning of this episode, you're not happy that Dean gets to be death for a day. Just so we're clear, I'm not good with this. Like, what do you think that was? Is it because she doesn't trust him, or because
I don't know if it's she doesn't trust him. I think it's more of like, we're going off the rails here. Why are we even entertaining this?
right?
Like, he hasn't taken the necessary steps to really be able to handle this type of duty. So why are we even allowing this?
Right.
Yeah, I got the sense that it was more like, why this fucking guy? like he didn't earn this shit. Like, why?
Exactly. Like, I've been here this whole time doing this.
A little bit. I mean, I do think it's a little bit like, okay, yeah, sure.
For sure. Like, yes, you have, like, there are steps you have to take in order to get here. And he hasn't taken those steps, and you're just fast tracking. And I know it's an experiment, but why?
Right.
Yeah, because you also are wise enough to know that the experiment is going to
Backfire.
implode somehow.
Correct.
It's going to backfire somehow.
Correct.
Right.
And then who has to clean up that mess? Probably you.
Yeah.
But they also have kind of a past together, so it's not like he's anybody. He's Dean. But yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. He's special.
He's special. He's the chosen one.
Oh, the hot ones always are,
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, from just the lay of the land of that character, you ended up doing 4 episodes. Was there ever, but you're also working on other stuff at the time, was there ever an episode where they gave you a ring, like, hey, are you around? And you're like, no, I'm not. And they had to punt the ball. Like, did that ever happen?
No, that didn't. It all ended up being aligned and working out. That and One Tree Hill both worked out that way.
That's always nice.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You have one more episode after this. Do you know what season that is?
7, 8. Do you know?
We don't.
We should. Our producer does.
We are, watching it for the first time, really. So that's what this whole thing is.
Yes.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, it's a real education. We've been involved with the show.
I know. I was like, don't quiz me, guys, please.
Oh, no, don't quiz us back. But it is fascinating to go through, and you're a perfect example. We know you, hung out with you, spent time with you, enjoyed your company, didn't really know what you did on the show because we haven't sat down and absorbed in the same way you don't really know what we did on the show.
Yep.
For all you know, we never did the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we only know each other from the convention circuit, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, it's fun to go back and see what all these cool, wonderful people we have befriended over the years did to earn their stripes in the supernatural world, And your character is one of the cooler ones, especially like when you come in and we really don't know who you are. And like I said, when you don't know who you are, we find out in that first episode what she's all about. And then to reflect on what I said earlier, now every time we see you, we're like, ooh.
Oh, no. Tessa's back.
That's like when I show up at a party uninvited. It's like, crap. Rich found out.
I also love that Tessa was, I don't think she was the first Reaper, but she was the first female Reaper, right?
Ooh, I thought she was the first Reaper.
She might be the first one too, but I loved that.
Yeah.
I loved their take on it. I loved how she had to reveal herself to Dean. I think that's genius,
Oh, that was so cool. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
I have written here by our producer, Tessa has a look, denim, black leather jackets, not what you'd normally picture as a Reaper. Most Reapers in the show look like funeral directors. Do you have a thought about how this costume choice might have helped you shape Tessa?
Hipster Reaper.
She is kind
Hipster
of a
Reaper.
hipster Reaper. For me, I think it just gave her an edge, not like I'm spooky edge, but more of leather jackets to me are always very like grounding and protective. So it kind of gives her a little bit of an armor,
Right.
And like I'm on the street to do I could get in an alley fight and do some street work.
So when you started this role, were you aware of the conventions that was a thing?
No, that wasn't even happening.
I guess
back
not.
then.
I guess
Are
not
you
in
kidding?
season 2, but
I come from the land before conventions.
Yeah, so do we.
Yeah.
A weird world.
Yeah,
Where
I
people
know.
didn't gather and no one discussed it
I
online.
know.
But you obviously have done them since, and you have worked extensively since. Is this a character in a show do people ring it up to you? Like, are you stopped on the street? Is this something that's part of your existence?
Yeah. I mean, not all the time. And it depends when and where I am and how I look. I think there are certain times, like with blonde hair, I could look more like a different character and people would recognize me for that. If I was in my leather jacket with my dark hair, they'd probably notice I was Tessa. But it's not every day. But yes, it is or you're very familiar, blah, blah, blah. What have you done? Oh my gosh, Supernatural. Yeah. But like I said, when I was on the show, none of that was happening. So I had no idea that it would turn into what it turned into. I mean, obviously nobody did. And then it became a huge thing. And then we all had like life after death, with the convention circuit as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's certainly that sort of unexpected gift that keeps giving from that. You didn't know it was going to happen, but you're glad it did.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Are you still doing conventions?
I have not done one I actually do ones for One Tree Hill.
Oh, cool.
So that's a lie. But I haven't done a Supernatural one since, were we in the UK together? Richard? Yeah. Since that one. It was like after COVID.
That was a minute. Ago? Yeah, that's about right. Well, it's time we did it again.
Let's do it again. Somewhere fun, though.
And you got to come back on and talk to us when your next episode comes up.
Oh, yes, because that is where Tessa takes her life.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, we haven't...
is this a spoiler? Oh, no.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a Supernatural podcast.
People watching have watched
I know, yeah,
they know.
Right?
Yeah, we're the lamos here. It's us.
It's only you guys that I'm spoiling because you haven't
seen that doesn't make sense because we were like on the show. It's season.
We deserve it. This is it's on us.
Sorry, guys.
Thank you so much for coming and having this conversation. I really appreciate it.
It's so good to see you.
Look, great to see you and great to see you blasting in from my hometown. I love it.
Dude, I love it here.
Represent.
Yeah.
Tell it I say hi.
I will for sure.
All right, we're going to hit you up for your next one. And in the meantime, stay well and hopefully we'll see you at a con.
You too, guys.
Hey there, it's Misha Collins. If you're like me, you want a break from the sound of Richard Spate's voice, we'll be right back after this.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
The new Apple Watch Series 10 is here. It has the biggest display ever. It's also the thinnest Apple Watch ever, making it even more comfortable on your wrist. And it's the fastest charging Apple Watch, getting you 8 hours of charge in just 15 minutes. Introducing the all-new Apple Watch Series 10, now available for the first time in glossy jet black aluminum. Compared to previous generation, iPhone XS or later required. Charge time and actual results will vary.
Thank you for supporting Supernatural then and now. And now, back to the show.
Well, that was lovely. Great to see Lindsey.
I felt like we had Alistair Cook and we were going to get some, the lighting, I know people couldn't see this, but the setting of the interview was great. She had this like wing chair and lamp and sort of very stylized room. Awesome. She was great. Delightful getting her perspective on everything.
Yeah, it was great to see her and, get the word on Tessa because we haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. And it's a really interesting character that keeps popping up. So, now I'm excited to see what how it ends for her.
She kind of tipped the cap on that one a little bit, but we'll have her come back and talk about it.
And now is a portion of the show that I like to call mythology.
Mythology.
Sam spent 11 episodes this season without a soul.
How is that mythological?
Well, the concept of the human soul has been explored across cultures, religions, and philosophies for centuries, Richard. Though definitions vary widely, the soul is generally understood as the essence of a person, the core of one's being that exists beyond physicality. Here are a few perspectives. Rich?
Well, there's religious. Many religious traditions see the soul as the eternal part of a person, which may live on after physical death. In Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, the soul is often viewed as a divine gift, inherently linked to God and accountable for one's actions. However, Hinduism and Buddhism, though different in their conceptions, regard the soul as a part of a broader cycle of rebirth and liberation.
There's also philosophical. Philosophers like Plato believe the soul to be the seat of reason, will, and emotion, a non-physical form that governs one's mind and ethics. Descartes, on the other hand, defined the soul as a form of consciousness distinct from the body, often linked to the capacity for rational thought and self-awareness.
And then, of course, there's psychological. Some psychological perspectives equate the soul to our innermost identity, or the subconscious, those deep-seated aspects that influence thoughts, actions, and beliefs. neuroscientists explore aspects of human consciousness and identity, seeking to understand how the physical processes in the brain produce subjective experiences and a sense of self. You know, if I was just tuning into this podcast, I would think, these guys aren't a-holes. They're intelligent.
Yeah.
They're delivering really important and insightful information.
Right. I was going to say the fourth one not listed here is musical. Soul. Some of the best music
Good point.
made in the last 100 years.
Do you remember when Dr. J released a line of sneakers, I think for Converse, and they had super cool commercials for them? This is going back 20 years, where it was kind of done like 1970 Peter Max cartoons. It was kind of like it would start real and then become colorful of him like dunking or whatever, and it was to the higher ground. And Dr. J, the slogan of the show of the commercial was "Bring some soul to the hole." The hole being the basket, you know, like play basketball with some soul.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, that's dope.
And it's a play on soul.
Yeah. Bring some soul to the soul.
S-O-L-E, S-O-U-L.
Bring some soul to the hole.
We played that song last weekend, the band.
Higher Ground?
Played the Red Hot Chili Peppers version.
Boom, but how did Mike do on the bass line? Boom, ba da, boom, ba da.
He did pretty well. We did it. It was one of those, we had to come up with new play-on songs because it was a boys' convention, new play-on songs for all the characters that we've never done before.
Did you sing that song you guys were kind of working out in the rehearsal room to get the show started? Boys, 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 no girls. Boys, 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 no girls allowed. Boys, boys, boys. It's a boys con, boys only con.
Oh, that's that Richard Speight song.
Boys, 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 no girls allowed. Boys, boys, boys. I'm Riley B. Boys, 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 no boys allowed. Nobody else is allowed.
No.
I actually said no boys allowed too, so nobody's
allowed.
It's an empty room.
No, we did The Boys Are Back in Town.
The boys are back in town. Really do.
But we played Mother's Milk on with the Red Hot Chili Peppers version of...
What a great pull, because that's from that album, Mother's Milk.
There you go. I had to explain that to a lot of people.
Oh my God, that was the first time, like, I was never a huge Chili Peppers fan.
Yeah, well...
I liked them, but I was like, oh, it's fine. And then Mother's Milk, I was like...
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. When you hear their version of Higher Ground, you're like, whoa.
And I'm pretty sure that's track one on the album. Or it's
not. It's up. It's like 2 or 3 because I just
what Subway to Venus. Something awesome is track one.
Oh yeah,
really.
yeah.
Well, Robert, let's quit being official and all professional sounding and dive into the very unprofessional fun fact.
In the story, a merchant's servant just saw death in the marketplace. And so the servant gets on a horse to hide out in Samarra, wanting to avoid death. The merchant ventures into the market and asks Death why he startled the servant. Death replies that he was surprised to see him in a market in Baghdad as he has an appointment with the servant in Samarra later that day. Ching.
Oh, that's hilarious. The Hungarian title is Rendezvous à Halal, which translates to dating with death.
And in Japan?
Slightly different vibe than the Japanese title, which loosely translated means the happy fun boat that kills you.
Dr. Robert's name may be...
Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert's name may be a reference to the Beatles song, Dr. Robert.
Dr. Robert. See, I'm right.
In which a doctor gives out illicit drugs.
Gives out the druggies.
See, it is about me.
The incantation Dean uses to summon Tessa, Mesorum evoco qui me tetigit, roughly translates to the happy fun boat will kill you. No, I'm kidding. Or I summon the Reaper who touched me. Oh, really?
Whoa.
Do tell, Dean.
Whoa.
Mercy.
When was that episode?
I don't know. We missed it.
While talking to Dean, Death is seen wearing his ring before Dean gives it back. Ooh.
Is that
someone's going to have to answer to that.
Prop mess up? Or is that sort of subliminal?
Or is it? Yeah.
Meant something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
You know, I was laughing because Julian is going to town eating, and Dean's like, you're always eating fast food.
Yeah.
And I just thought it made me laugh that he was really going to town on that burger.
Yeah, that's classic.
Classic Richings right there.
Classic Richings. Although he went to town on the pizza too. That was his whole thing.
Yeah. No, but he was really like the actor was really eating it. I could tell. You know what I mean? Because he's like cleaning out his teeth and keeps wiping his mouth.
That's always a mistake. Somewhere there's a spit bucket nearby. or you get sick, one of the two.
That's true.
I always say, when you're eating in a scene, you have to be careful how much you commit to doing it because you're going to have to do it over and over and over again.
That's what I'm saying. All right, everybody. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Richard, thoughts?
I loved it and I hated it. No, I love the whole thing. It was great. I mean, great interviewing Lindey McKeon. Nice having her on. The episode itself, really unique sort of take on Dean playing that role and wreaking so much havoc and having the sort of moral burden of dealing with it. It was a cool episode.
I thought it was. I really do. And more to come. I'm excited to keep it going.
Indeed.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next one. This episode of Supernatural features Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester and Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester.
Guest stars include Robert Englund, Jim Beaver, Julian Richings, Lindey McKeon, and Sebastian Roche.
Appointment in Samarra was written by Sarah Gamble and Robert Singer, directed by Mike Roll.
Editing by Tom McQuaid, music by Jay Gruska.
Executive produced by Robert Singer, Sarah Gamble, and Eric Kripke.
This episode originally aired on December 10th, 2010.
This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Svay Jr. and Rob Benedict.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
And edited and associate produced by Trey Booty.
What's up?
Music provided by Tim Wynn.
The episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studios.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
Follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at SPN Then and Now.
Become a member of the podcast to get early access, chat rooms with other podcast fans, and video interviews at patreon.com/SPN Then and Now.
Well done, Robert. By the way, I'm actually giving honest answers just because Steve is miming what I'm actually saying.
At Steve
it's not
too.
like he's shaking his head. He's raising his arms up. But those are the actual answers.
Not that kind of, there's a different kind of street work, not that street work.
I didn't even think about that until you backtracked.
I could get down and dirty if I need to.
When you said street work, actually, I had I thought about like a juggler on the corner with a hat out for money. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like.
You have a very innocent mind. I love it.
Balthazar recognizes an opportunity to screw over Dean and have Sam in his debt.
Right.
Or
dept.
Like short for department.
Right. To have Sam in his department. Oh, I get it. He's expanding and he needs somebody else to head one of the departments.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
So now Balthazar is going to be in Sam's department. Meanwhile, the first few people Dean must kill are relatively easy.
It reminds me of a Simpsons episode where Bart, he thinks it's a Halloween episode and he thinks he sees Flanders killing Maude Flanders.
Uh-huh.
And so he picks up the phone and dials 911 and he says, "You've reached 911." And it's done like movie phone, which was popular at the time.
Right.
And now he used to say, if you know the movie, the name of the movie, like to see. Yeah. He's like, if you know the name of the crime committed, press 1. And Bart just hits a bunch of keys because he's frustrated. He goes, "Beep, beep, beep," and he goes, "You picked regicide." If you know the name of the king or queen being murdered, press 1. You picked regicide.
Obviously, we weren't reading. We were really pontificating.
Oh, those are off the top of our brain. Yeah, that's how we talk.
We should go back to the
all
script.
The riffraff and potty humor. That's all written by Steve.
The title of this episode is a reference to an old Middle Eastern folk tale. In the story, a servant, a merchant, he just saw death in the marketplace.
What? What?
You
that
read
sentence
that.
Makes no sense.
You read it.
Anyway, that's all the time we have. Thanks, everybody. Follow us at Story Mill Media.
This goes right into the folder of things we'll cut out of the episode.
No, you will not cut out the patricide, regicide bit. Trey, I'm looking at you, Trey.
Meanwhile, the first few people Dean must...
Maybe cut the suicide bit, Trey. Maybe the suicide bit didn't work, Trey.
Story Mill Media.
If I play you something, will you promise not to tell anyone about it?
What is it?
There's a thing in the sky. You've got to get someone down here quick. It's fucked. It's moving. It's buzzing. It's getting closer, I think.
I need to talk to someone senior.
Putting you through now.
Don't put me. It's getting louder. I can feel it. I can feel it inside my head.
Listen to Hovering, the latest fiction horror show on Realm's premier horror channel, Undertow. Hovering is available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.